Is your process for creating, as you went through this Dress to Impress album, is it the same as it was with the Make It Last Forever album, or has your process evolved for creating music over the years?
No, my process is always the same. Okay. I mean, maybe that's why I stay so consistent, because it's always the same. It really doesn't change. I only know one way to record or one way to do things. So, in terms of creating new music, I'm willing to sometimes even branch out and take a slight gamble, but I'm not going all the way far left. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I always tell people, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
Keith Sweat isn't just another name from the 90s R&B scene. He was the scene. But while his career soared, Keith always kept his personal life out of the spotlight. And that's where the mystery began. Quiet rumors started to swirl about pain behind the music, about relationships that didn't end well, about a man who was smiling on stage but struggling off of it. And for years, Keith never addressed them. He let the music speak, until now.
But what made me fall in love with R&B was Jodeci.
That's real. Passion.
They knew.
Whoop me.
Yeah.
Whoop me.
Yeah.
Keith Sweat's story starts in Harlem, New York, where he was born in 1961. The neighborhood was rough, but full of life, music, and stories. Keith's life changed early. He lost his father when he was just 12 years old. That kind of loss would have broken a kid, but instead, it forced him to grow up fast. His mother stepped up, working long hours to keep the family together. Keith often spoke about how much he admired her hustle. She worked for the Department of Welfare and later for a dry cleaner, showing him what real dedication looked like. But even with all that hardship, Keith always had music. Harlem's Apollo Theater wasn't just a local landmark, it was where Keith first discovered what music could do. He sat in that audience and watched legends perform, and something clicked. He wasn't just a fan, he was a student. He started dreaming bigger. Even while he worked blue-collar jobs, one of them was at Macy's as a stock boy, he stayed focused on his goals. He studied at City College, balancing school, work, and his growing passion for music. That grind, that mix of hard work and heart is what shaped him. He wasn't handed anything. He earned his way in. But behind that grind was a voice that couldn't be silenced. And once the world heard it, the R&B game changed forever. Keith's first real step into the music world came when he joined a group called Jamila in the late 70s. It wasn't huge, but it was the beginning. That experience gave him time to experiment, to figure out what worked and what didn't, but Keith knew he wasn't meant to stay in the background. He had something unique, and it didn't take long before he went solo. Then came 1987, the year everything shifted. That's when he dropped Make It Last Forever. That album was fire. I Want Her shot up the charts and became one of the biggest R&B hits of that year. But more importantly, it introduced the world to a whole new sound. New Jack Swing. That blend of R&B with hip-hop beats and streetwise attitude, Keith helped bring it to life. And he didn't do it alone. He teamed up with Teddy Riley, and that partnership became legendary. They didn't just make hits, they changed what R&B sounded like. Keith's smooth vocals mixed with Teddy's production made magic. Songs like Don't Stop Your Love and Something Just Ain't Right didn't just dominate radio, they redefined a genre. But Keith wasn't just making music for himself. He started writing and producing for others. Acts like Leslie, Cook Close, and even Silk benefited from his vision. He wasn't just a singer, he became a true hitmaker, shaping the careers of multiple R&B acts behind the scenes. But with fame came scrutiny, and whispers began to surface about the man behind the microphone.
I don't smoke, I don't do none of that. You know what I'm saying? I drink once in a while, even though people be saying, yo, he drunk on stage. I'm like, where y'all get that book?
People be thinking you be drunk as hell.
Like, there's a little skit, there's a skit I do.
Yeah.
And around the third song, it's basically I get my Hennessy and I sing a song. This ain't no tea, this is Hennessy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a skit. So when I do it, people be like, nigga, I said, what the hell y'all doing? I say, man, come on, give me a break.
As Keith's fame grew, so did the interest in his personal life. Rumors started swirling, mostly about his relationships, but also more personal things. There were whispers about his gender, claims that he was hiding something. Keith never leaned too heavily into clearing things up. Instead, he played it cool. His stage persona was flirty, sensual, and always smooth. That kind of image only added fuel to the fire. To some fans, the mystery made him even more intriguing. Close friends and longtime associates often came to his defense. They insisted the rumors were just that, rumors, that Keith was just a regular guy who liked to keep his personal life off the radar. And for the most part, Keith let them talk. He focused on the music and stayed out of the gossip. And then Keith shocked fans with a bizarre story. One of the most unexpected moments in Keith Sweat's public journey came when he casually dropped a story that had fans doing double takes. While talking about his music, Keith revealed that while overseas, he once seduced a woman simply by singing Nobody. That slow jam, one of his biggest hits from the 90s, had already been considered bedroom gold. But hearing that he used it in real life, during a personal, intimate moment, made the internet buzz. Keith didn't stop there. He said openly that he enjoys listening to his own music during intimacy. That confession split the crowd. Some folks laughed it off, others were confused, even slightly weirded out. And then there were those who respected it. They figured, hey, if your music sets the perfect mood, why not? But that moment did something bigger. It shifted the conversation again. For years, people questioned Keith's private life. So when he told this story, some fans took it as confirmation. Keith was into women and clearly proud of it. Still, not everyone was convinced. The fact that the rumors had lasted so long made this confession feel like it was only part of the story. Still, Keith wasn't done telling his truth. In fact, his next confession would leave fans speechless.
Because I've been managing myself for the last 30 years.
Oh, what?
Come on, man. You
How
gotta
did,
get.
what you gonna say, Sway?
You ain't got to give up that 20 or 15%.
10%.
Yeah. I manage myself. I got my own agency. Because what I tell brothers and sisters, I say, listen, back in the day, you needed an agency. If somebody don't know how to reach you now, something is wrong. But on
100%.
social media, and you know, we have to be smart. I'm not giving up 25 or 20% of my money. You know, knowing I can get a good lawyer.
After years, Keith finally decided to open up. In an honest moment, he addressed the very rumors that had chased him for decades. He didn't dodge or deflect. He said straight up, people in the industry tried to paint a false picture of him. According to Keith, certain individuals close to him, people he trusted, helped spread stories that weren't true. Whether it was jealousy, business politics, or personal issues, those people had something to gain by pushing a false narrative. And for Keith, that betrayal hurt the most. It wasn't just strangers whispering, it was people in his own circle feeding the fire. So why didn't he speak up sooner? Keith admitted he stayed quiet on purpose. He didn't want to give the rumors more power by addressing them publicly. He believed if he just stayed focused, people would remember the music, not the noise. But even as he stayed silent, the lies lingered. And for Keith, that silence came with a cost. His confession hit fans hard. Some were shocked by how much he had kept inside. Others felt angry on his behalf. Because while Keith Sweat was out making hits and building a legacy, he was also dealing with lies and betrayal behind the scenes. But while he kept his personal life guarded, his battles behind the scenes told another story. Keith Sweat's music career wasn't just about smooth vocals and slow jams. It was also about surviving an industry that didn't always play fair. One of the biggest fights he faced was over the track Just Got Paid. Many fans don't realize this, but Keith originally recorded the demo for that hit. But when the final version came out with Johnny Kemp's voice, Keith didn't get the credit he felt he deserved. That loss stung. Then there was Gene Griffin, a powerful producer Keith once worked closely with. Their partnership started strong but ended in chaos. Behind the scenes, there were power struggles, financial disputes, and ego clashes. Keith felt used. He spoke later about how Gene took advantage of young artists who didn't fully understand the business yet. Still, Keith kept pushing forward. He wasn't just trying to win for himself, he wanted to lift others too. He played a big role in helping Johnny Gill shine and worked closely with Gerald Levert. When they came together as LSG Lillert, Sweat and Gill, the result was massive. Their debut album went platinum. Even though some in the industry didn't believe in the group at first, Keith fought to keep that project alive and made sure it got the shine it deserved. His ability to survive the drama, fight for credit, and still make timeless music proved that Keith was just a voice. He was a force. And while Keith was winning battles in the boardroom, the streets kept talking, especially after that unforgettable Verzuz showdown.
So I never got a Grammy, never got a BET award, never got none of those.
Soul Train, nothing?
Well,
Crazy.
Paxton Baker gave me the Soul Train when he gave me my Lifetime Achievement Award. But what happened is, which made me feel like I didn't want to play the politics on that. Like the first time I ever got nominated was on that first album, Make It Last Forever. Yo, you nominated for the Best Album of the Year award. Like, I knew I was going to get it because there was no other album that could touch that album. When, you know, I'm keeping it 100.
Yeah,
when
it was revolutionary, the whole sound and everything, right?
You know, every song on the album was a hit. They played it on the radio, every song. Make It Last, How Deep, boom, you know, every song, right? So I'm sitting up there, Best R&B Album of the Year. I'm almost halfway out my seat.
Yeah, foot in the aisle. You had your foot in the aisle.
Oh, man. George Michael's.
Oh, I remember that year.
Best R&B album of the year. George Michael's.
In 2021, Keith Sweat stepped into the Verzuz ring against another R&B heavyweight, Bobby Brown. Fans were hyped, but what started as a celebration quickly turned into a night people wouldn't forget. And not always for the right reasons. Keith showed up with energy and a drink in hand. Throughout the night, he sipped openly, and the more he drank, the looser he got. He cracked jokes, threw shade, and made some wild statements that had fans pausing. At one point, he even accused Bobby of cheating for performing New Edition tracks, saying, "This supposed to be Bobby Brown, not Bobby and Friends." It was funny, yes, but it also raised deeper questions about Keith's lifestyle and health. After the Verzuz battle, the conversation shifted. While some laughed off the performance, others were genuinely concerned. A few fans dropped comments like, "I hope Keith is okay. He didn't look too good." And that wasn't just tipsy, that was something deeper. People began to speculate if it was more than just drinks. Rumors started floating around about possible substance use. While nothing was confirmed and Keith himself never admitted to using substances, some critics said he looked tired. Others questioned if the pressure of staying relevant in today's world was taking a toll. Still, despite all that noise, Keith kept going. He kept touring, kept performing, and kept doing what he's always done: show up for his fans. Whether it's a small venue or a festival stage, Keith continues to deliver those classic vocals. Even in his 60s, he's showing that he's not done, not even close. Fans have noticed too. Supporters often leave comments like, "Say what you want, but Keith still got it, and he's a legend, let that man live." That kind of love shows that for many, his impact goes beyond just a Verzuz moment or old gossip. It's about the full picture, the hits, the hustle, and the history. And through it all, one thing became clear: Keith Sweat isn't just surviving, he's still making it last forever. What do you think about Keith Sweat's recent confession? Was it brave, overdue, or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's next. And coming up, we're digging into another R&B icon whose secrets are starting to unfold.